Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day, free enterprise fans around the world, and welcome to the Qualifier 6 review that we're going to be treating as a live race. This is part of the OMG Omnidextrous Memers Guild tournament that is happening right now. My name is Possum Morpheus, and I am joined by a man who is prettier than me, smarter than me, better looking, almost better at free enterprise, the man, the myth, the legend, Martin Broadcloak. How are you, Martin?
You had to go there
I
with
had to
almost
go there.
better free enterprise after
Yes, sir.
really you went there.
Yes, sir.
This is what I get for signing up for comms again.
Yes, sir.
Hi, it's me. I'm back for comms one more time. Boy, have I made mistakes. This is gonna be good though. This is gonna be a lot of fun to watch. So it's interesting to catch other perspectives and see how this async played out for other people. And this is definitely a group of individuals that we've got on screen here. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
we have some very quality runners on stream that we're going to be focusing on. We have Flurry 14, Elvin Sorrow, Bangagong, and Saradin. All four are very, very good. Martin and I have both run this seed as well already. We both put up times of varying degrees, so we are somewhat familiar with it, though I can't remember what I had for breakfast, so I certainly can't tell you much of what's going to happen in this ahead of time. But, we'll see what happens. We know we got a Porum, we know we got a bunch of objectives, and Martin, do you think we're about ready to get this started and do the talkie talk thing?
Who's the hero?
Sid? Nope, that's Porum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we should before we get God mic'd and say, hey, you guys are stalling for too long. We could talk about
Ooh.
the New York Jets though for a while.
I mean, as long as we're not talking about the Giants, we can talk about anyone we want.
Yeah, we should probably try this count in thing and get this started.
Yeah, so I guess let's get started in three, two, one, go.
Meow.
Vroom. And other bus noises and car noises.
Could you imagine if a bus actually did sound like that?
That'd be awesome.
It really would. Drifting a bus? That'd be fantastic.
You know what is also fantastic?
The Castlevania kit.
Uh, sure. I was going to say more a twin star because you
Okay.
have Exit and Berserk and Quake all available in just a couple of levels. The question is, how do you get said levels?
That is,
Martin?
yeah. This is I mean, in any other flag set, you look at the start, it's like, ooh, I have the twin command available to me.
Right,
Except this is Omni. And
right.
well, you can count how many times you usually use twin on this flag set on one finger. So,
Wait, you use it once?
I actually have used it once before,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. Wow, look at the deviation already. Holy smoke. This is honestly about the three routes you usually see at the beginning. It's either Eblin, the freebie, or, with a starting hook. Yeah, go launch the hovercraft. Why not?
Yeah, I think on this one I actually did the launch the hovercraft route and immediately looted out all of Cave Blana and
Hmm.
Castle Eblin, if I remember right. Now
Hmm.
I will not say whether that was good or bad, just to say that I think Camp Elvin Sorrow is the camp that I was in on this one.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you take any similar routes to that or a different route that one of our other runners might have done?
I am very, I'm not gonna say meat and potatoes, but yeah, I mean I am a Eblin diehard. I
Hmm.
will live and die by that place, especially with fixed traps. You are in and out of Evelyn in about a minute and a half. And the gear there is usually fantastic, which we are seeing on Flurry's side. I've seen Earth Hammer and Ogre Axe. Like, these are very, very useful items early on in the game. So,
Yeah, so Flurry and Bangagong both went the Eblin route. Saradin went the Troya route, and is now heading over to launch the hovercraft. Elvin Sorrow going straight hovercraft there, and getting the hook portion going as soon as possible.
Mhm.
Looks like we have some random whips and some other things, a couple of mute items. Nothing that I see that is anywhere near strong enough to take on Trap Chest and Eblin yet. So I
No.
don't think we're going to see anyone get get a little uppity with the ogres or anything else. As boy, do they hit harder than you expect.
Yes, they do. And yeah, like you said, it's one of those, hey, you need a lot of defensive stats to take a swing at them, or pretty much like a burn ring will usually help get you through one way or the other. But yeah, without that, it's a great loot. You wave as you go by, you're planning on coming back later, and hey, there's probably gonna be something useful in Eblin. It's Eblin. There's always something good there.
Yeah, until you get that rare seed where there isn't. But the most useful thing our runners have found so far is this edge up on Hobbs.
Yeah.
Edge,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
If your Palom can't stay alive, well, Edge is your black mage anyway on Omni.
Hey, look, twin command. Neat. There's our federally mandated twin command. So fantastic. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, there's another one. Flare is what you
Okay,
want here,
well,
though.
I mean that's a way through a fight.
Comet
It
was
works.
not great.
Yeah.
Flare very good for single target.
Yeah.
Saradan just going bonk bonk. Porum showing the ruby form of Elements who is boss. We have not yet seen the turtle or the Val form of that Elements fight. But it looks like all of our runners are going to be getting that edge fairly early. Some of them have better gear, some of them don't. I do wonder if anyone's going to dart something. If we have anything dartable, other than a drain spear, which you are not darting.
No, no. Unless you have a quantity of them in your hand, no, they thankfully for Omni, they make such a great anchoring tool that yeah, darting those probably a non-starter.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, you do see on Flurry's screen, Palom's currently sporting a pair of black swords. Why is
Yeah.
that important?
So now he can hit the dark weakness on Mom Bomb and also on Octomam.
I mean, that's obviously one way of looking at it, yes.
Oh, right. The bigger thing you're getting at is because he just
Yeah.
wanted to be a Dark Knight as well. Because he hung out with
Yeah.
Cecil on the way up ordeals, and he was like, "Oh, this dude's like OG, and he's the bomb, and I want to be like that guy when I grow up." That's probably not it either, is it?
No, no,
No. Okay.
no.
All right, fine. The real answer is that Black Swords actually give +5 wisdom. So they not only give wisdom, which is really cool, they give agility, which black mages are usually pretty bad at. So you get +10 wisdom, +10 agility from 2 black swords. Uh, Honestly, who knew that Dark Knight Cecil's best weapon was arguably a mage's best weapon in Omni?
Very much so. Yeah, because a lot of this flags say, hey, look, it's a spoon. That's another one of those things. You're
Yeah.
probably not darting anytime soon either.
Well, not anytime soon, but late
Yeah.
game, the spoon is actually pretty underwhelming because it has no stat boosts.
That's
However, for right now, anybody on your team, bam, 255 attack, maxed out
Exactly.
right away. So it's pretty nice, especially like on Flurry's side. We've seen a black belt. I know we've seen a couple runners pick up a strength ring. You can just slap those on edge and really go to town with the spoon. Just take out early checks. It also puts the accursed mountain on the table if you want to get through ordeals relatively quickly and early. I know that that is a very controversial check on this flag set, when to do it or if to do it at all. But a spoon with an edge does put it on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoon's it's one of those oddball ones. Like you said, it's not a stat boost, but the spoon combo with a stat stick in your other hand, whether it be a black sword, a bonk staff, anything of that nature, like you're easily putting out thousands of damage early on. And like you talked about the mountain that shall not be named. Obviously the quickest way to do that, just one shot things. So if you're gonna go up there, a spoon is kind of nice to have. I mean, it's no crystal sword, but I get over it.
Hmm. And we have Saradin, who was able to get over Baron Inn and picked up a pass for his troubles. Again, not a thing that's useful now, but pass is pretty nice, especially if the moon is required, which
Hmm.
we all know from playing all these asyncs that the moon is always required, right, Martin?
I plead a fifth.
Mm,
Hmm.
yeah.
Definitely plead a fifth.
Well, we'll see what
that
happens in this one.
that being said, um, the pass, I mean, it's still useful. Um, you look at the list of objectives we have, and I mean, more often than not, your end game is on Earth, whether you're, opening the treasury door or whatever it may be. So, I mean, who wants to walk the LST to get to Z? I'd rather just open the door and be done with it. So, I would not turn a pass down.
Yeah, pass is very nice because, like you said, kind of worst case scenario, it saves you a lunar subterranean walk. Best
Mm-hmm.
case scenario, you can just like finish off with a forge or something from the moon, come back to Earth, turn in the pass, and again save yourself a second trip down the lunar subterranean. So one
Exactly.
way or another, the pass is beneficial. It does save you time, especially when it comes with a character. From Baron Inn, for example. In this case, it was a dupe, so no actual character accompanying it, but also two more bosses. If a Fusoya shows up, you don't really want to reset out of a pass. You also don't really want to reset out of two bosses altogether, but hey, I wouldn't know anything about that. And
I
then a
think you
Dragoon Spear showing up from the Pinktail. That is a functionally useful item, as you would say.
I think you shorted the amount of bosses you reset out of by at least 3.
Yeah, that's a me problem.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, amazingly, wow, the pink tail wasn't Artemis arrows. Wow,
Oh, it still hit the dragon
it's
weakness.
amazing. Everyone's favorite item it gets. Like, oh, I'm gonna go turn the pink tail, get something useful. Yeah, about that.
But we do have
no, Goon Spear. I do love Goon Spear. Enables some very interesting things, namely the Bimmy and Jimmy combo on the moon.
I know that Ali, our wonderful restreamer for this evening, and restreamer for so many of the events we've had, and so many of the races and asyncs that we've had recently in the OMG tournament and otherwise. Ali has been waiting for a hard required Bimmy and Jimmy, which maybe we'll get this race, maybe we'll get sometime soon. But I know that that's a fan favorite as well to get to play with the dragons up on the moon.
Absolutely. I mean, the nice part, at least in this flag set, it's usually they're not terrible, just because of the equipment you probably have in your hands by then. But they could still cause problems. So, hey, speaking of things that cause problems, hey, Possum, you should tell us the story about the Flame Dog.
I have never come up from Sylph, done all of Fabul, gotten an Earth Crystal, and gone to do the doggo with no HP on anyone, and died and lost 6 minutes against you. That has never happened.
Okay. It's a good story, though.
Not for me.
Murrah from the doggo. I have made the mistake once, and you get in the habit of just selling off your inventory. It's as good as a Drain Sword. It's minus agility.
It's actually better because it gives you +5 strength, +3 strength. So your anchor can actually get a boost to their strength while sacrificing, and their wisdom, while sacrificing speed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've had seeds where, agility manipulation gear has been thin to non-existent. So, you wouldn't think a Murrah could help you out in the future, but it's not a bad find. I mean, yes, you have a Drain Spear, so but still, I would not look past one of those. So.
Yeah, it's one of those things though where it might be a 93,000 cost item in a forge. Sometimes you just need -5 agility.
Very much so. All right, what we got going on? Bangong shopping. What do we got? Oh, Cure 3s. I like Cure 3s.
Yeah, I always check this shop specifically for Ether 2s, but Cure 3s are a pretty nice consolation prize, especially because we're staring at a Porum. Porum is not Rosa. Porum is probably not getting Cure 4 on this flag set most of the time, which means Cure 3s have a whole lot more value. Now, we have a potential issue on Elven Sorrow sides here. There's a spoon-wielding Edge who just decided that he wanted to spoon with someone, and he was the only person left, and a Charmed Edge will do an Edge because, that's not good. Spoon is powerful.
Mega Sisters is like, oh, so that's fine until the charm hits the wrong person, and then things go sideways.
Yep.
Never been there. I'm kidding. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. We all have Magus Sister stories, and none of them are good.
No, they are not. So, Bangagong, interesting routing here. Hasn't done Evelyn, but we're gunning the hook route.
I believe he did part of Evelyn because he has a Legend Sword, which I want to say was from the Ogres in this seed. I can't remember exactly what, but I'm almost positive that Legend Sword came from Evelyn. And this is a play that I made very early in this seed, which was to run down this hook route and get the character and be like, oh, I'm getting an extra character. It'll be great. There won't be, any issues with this. I'm going to be fine. And then Edge was on Hobbs. I'm sure that the character down here will be better than the Edge on Hobbs. Copium.
I seem to remember that certain individuals that created this flag set put a certain gated character in. Yeah. How would you feel if he turned up?
Well, I mean, there's 3 gated characters, and they're all
one in
Heats.
particular.
There's Fu, and there's Dark Knight Cecil, and there's Yang,
and there's Wang. Yes.
Yeah, there's that other one. But I mean, here's the thing, right? We found a Drain Spear, and we found a Murasame.
Yep.
Minus 15 agility slapped onto a Yang means that he can be your anchor and still end the seed at 4,000 health. That's not the worst place to be in the world. It gives you someone dedicated to anchor, and it gives you a pile of HP to use those Cure 3s that are for sale on the hook route.
Yep.
Not the worst thing. That being said, hey, here's Rosa.
Yeah, but on the scale of worst things, how about a 25,000 HP CPU staring you down now?
Well, we got 2 good things going on there. One, we got a strong Edge who can Zerk.
Yep.
We all love Plan Q, which we'll explain what that is once we get there. And, more notably, we have Palom. Palom has this wonderful skill called Bluff. Bluff is basically a Stardust Rod every time you use it. Maxes out your Wisdom stat around 99-ish. So basically, Palom will do boatloads of damage. Can do upwards of like 6,000 to 7,000 on Quakes. Makes the orbs a lot easier. What you just don't want to have happen is your Edge and or Palom get bopped while you're fighting CPU. Totally didn't happen to me on this exact seed. Anyway, moving on.
Targeting.
We have we have lots of runners.
No, it's fine. No, it never happened.
Who I'm sure that will not happen to. And they're all fighting various traps. We have Stalemen, we have Black Cats. Black Cats are jerks, as are most cats. That was a darted Gungnir spear on Saradin's side, saying I am not playing around with this cat, because if I screw up, I'm getting blustered, and bluster is rude.
Don't blame them. I've seen people on those where your damage is sus, and it's like, you know what? I'm not even going to hold A. I'm just going to Berserk Edge. That way I know I'm doing more than 600 damage, because I don't want to die.
So speaking of nearly dying, Elven Sorrow finished the Black Cat Lamia chest with 2 HP on Edge.
Well, see, there you go.
So yeah, that's a thing that just happened.
Yeah.
We have Bangagon moving on down, picks up the adamant rock from the Mad Ogre chest. So Forge is not only on the table, but on the table early.
Yeah, and looking at this party, we've had discussions, and obviously listening to you and how you run seeds. There sometimes is a time and place to go do the forge. Looking at the seed currently, yeah, you're going to do the forge immediately. Like, you have a spoon, cool. You have a spoon.
Yeah,
it could be something shiny.
You have a spoon. You have a Dragoon lance.
Yeah.
Everything else is mediocre at best.
Yeah.
So not only do you want to forge early for a potential weapon, what can be in the shop, Martin?
Alcohol.
And?
Hourglasses.
Okay, well, yes, we had both of those in the same
claws.
seed. Okay, yes, if you have enough money from doing All the Moon, you can buy 59 cat claws, yes. I was going to go with heroin robes or power shirts.
Oh, now you're just being greedy. Heroin robes in this economy? Nah, never happened.
Look, if you can buy 59 cat claws, you can buy at least 47 heroin robes.
Look. That was a lot of moon traps, okay? And yes.
Saradin, a man after my own heart here. That is a back attack Odin. That means we have a runner on Ordeals.
Yay!
That gets the possum seal of approval.
Said nobody ever. Yay! Yeah, Ordeals. Yeah.
Yeah. Ordeals. But hey, that's a lit 2 Odin down.
Yay!
Bangagon showing us vanilla King Queen Evelyn.
Boo! Wait, going into a fight without MP? Nah, never happens.
See, that one usually doesn't happen for me because I overtent, but I'm sure now you're reflecting personally.
Don't look at me. Usually I'm the one that comes out of fights without MP and end up having that warp out of Cape Bahamut or something silly.
Moment of truth on Saradin's side. We're getting into the changing room up on the accursed mountain Ordeals. Is there value? Looks like we have a tower key. Value to be determined. But it is a key item.
You kind of have to walk it out.
Oh, you 100% have to walk it out.
Yeah, it hurts. Hey, Possum, what if it was a Baron key? Would you walk it out?
Not only would I walk it out, I would do it because confirmation bias is a heck of a thing. I would hate it the entire time.
Okay, just checking. Hey, it's
all
right
right.
time.
Yep. Plan Q. Go to town, sir.
But is it Plan Q, though?
I don't know. We should talk about it even if it's not time on
I'm
Bangagon's
just
side.
waiting to get to Polrum's turn to see what's going to happen here. This may just be we bluff 4 times and we start quacking, but yeah, I don't think we're going to see a Plan Q.
It's definitely safer.
It is. That's much less risky, but Plan Q is so much fun.
It is.
For anybody who doesn't know, we came up with Plan Q a while ago. There's obviously this way of doing orbs, and then there's literally just berserking people, turning them loose, and let the globes fall where they may. It's just a DPS race, and you hope that they don't get a chance to revive the little orb to heal and undo all your amazing work. So,
yeah, stealing a line from a wonderful community member, PK4787, that the better you get at free enterprise, the more spectacular your deaths are to CPU.
yes.
Now, PK pushed this to the limit, and he would find some of the most incredible ways to die to CPU and other things, and it was incredible to watch. But Plan Q is kind of like a derivative of that, where You are basically trying to control the outcome and have it be a favorable chance for success, knowing that if it goes really wrong, you could still lose the fight, but you are having some sort of preparation. So you would bluff 4 to 5 times with Palom here, get him to maximum wisdom. Once he's at max wisdom, you Zerk up your edge, and then you Quake. And what happens is you get the Quake firing off, you have edge pushing damage with Zerks, you're hoping to get about 2,500 to 3k per swing out of him, you quack twice, and the fight's supposed to end. Now where it goes sideways is if both Edge and Palom get targeted right away. I bring that up because that's exactly what happened to me on this fight and had to scramble to save it. So it is risky if the targeting goes sideways.
I mean, like you said, for you, that's actually really common. That's just another day that ends in Y. So, but you know, this is safe. This gets you through. You know, you will not have a reset in your future. So that is a good thing.
Yeah, and Bangagong, while being a very good runner, is also still a relatively new runner. And it is perfectly fine that if you don't have that, intimate level of understanding of exactly the perfect breakpoints and what you need to do, like just take it safe, especially in a race situation. Use practice to push your limits. Use races to implement what you've learned to be successful. If this is what you are successful at 100% of the time, use it in races. Like there's a certain balance you have to achieve. And, you don't want to route yourself and execute yourself out of a race.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Bangagong is doing a good job managing here, is not routing himself out of a race.
And, it's also like there are some people out there, like Woo Bear or Sorbius, where it's like, the theme, don't F it up. So if you play the race...
Can we say that?
What? I abbreviated. But
okay.
the idea is, don't make a mistake. Get through things clean. Yes, it may not be the fastest way of doing it, but just get through it clean. Don't take any unnecessary resets and things like that, and just let the times fall where they may. So, and that's exactly what we're seeing here, is you're not risking a wipe where all of a sudden you're having to go back and do King, Queen, Evelyn, and this very long-winded CPU fight. So.
Yes. And this is the type of CPU fight where, again, we're relying on Quake, and we're relying on an Edge with a spoon. So the issue that we run into is that, Edge with a spoon, while he does some damage, doesn't do a ton. Like, it doesn't have the multipliers to go with it, and multiplier, hot button word and all that.
Yep.
But multipliers are really important, especially when you have max attack.
I was actually waiting for you to say multiplier. I barely know her, but,
No.
Yeah. There's a case to be made. You could have actually darted the spoon on this fight.
I don't think so, because you don't have any weapons right now, and
you have so Goon Spear plus Earth Hammer.
Sure.
Like, that's pushing you close to 255.
No, that's more like 180. And
with other equipment, I mean, it's not like the game breaking where it's like, hey, you're throwing out half your damage.
The thing is,
does it speed up this fight? Absolutely. Are you going to find something better? You have an RA1 Quack Kid. Sylph is gonna be in the card, so you're probably gonna find something. Is it worth the time save just to chuck the spoon and be like, there's a free, math, 7,000 damage? With more or less a base level edge, it's coming out for about 7k. So
that puts a whole lot of faith into something popping out of Sylph. Too rich for my blood on that gamble.
Yeah. Well, remember, you also have a
thing.
Forge in your hand as well. So there's
sure. Yeah, Perseus arrows, great. I'm so glad I darted the spoon.
Aren't those fun? Yeah, that scrap metal, any of the white mage staves. Okay, you know what? There's a lot of crap that comes out of the forge.
Including scrap.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
Pitfall, Bangagon, 27
Yay!
minutes. Very impressive. I know that he did fade a couple of things on the Overworld, but with a forge in tow and, you know, the ability to get underground, maybe hit Sylph early, like, good showing by Bangagon to get underground this quick. You know, really well done.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, obviously at this point, this is where we may see some deviation. I'm in that forge right now, trying to hopefully improve my offensive output. But you also have an earth hammer, so straight up
Eyeballs.
landing and going up the tower, also in the cards. You've got Quack hanging a left turn and going to Sylph is in the card. Like there's like, once again, we saw 3 different openers from these runners. We very well could see 3 different ways coming underground on this.
Yeah, I think for Bangagong, Forge is 100% happening. I think for Flurry, it's probably north of 80%, because he doesn't have the tower key. So it's either going to be Sylph or Forge. Maybe Feymarch gets play there because you do have an RA1 Quack Kid, and you can just go ahead and take out the Warriors. Saradin, I think I'm tower first if I'm Saradin before even forging, and then forge after.
Because of the tower key.
Because of the tower key from Ordeals, I think you have to push that immediately. And then Elvin, I think, is in the exact same boat as Flurry. So it's going to be, like you said, kind of a tale of multiple directions, much like the opener was. And Bangagong does, in fact, go forge right away and gets a Lightbringer, which is okay.
Oh boy.
Okay. It's only a Crystal Sword Plus.
Neat. So this I do remember from this, and this is where a lot of the deviation in times that we saw on this one came from. You have a Lightbringer. That is a Crystal Sword. You now annihilate literally everything in front of you. The entire underworld is now in play.
Yeah, Lightbringer.
For me personally, I said this before, I was a 7-iron away from Dwarf. I landed and went and blew up Dwarf.
Yeah, because, I remember.
Hey, I have very large numbers coming out. Everything's going to die. It's just what order do I choose it in?
I remember doing tower first in this one because I had done the Ordeals play. Okay. And then going and forging and then saying, I'm going to do Dwarf after this because I'm right here. And then forgetting to do Dwarf because I'm a dum-dum.
Well,
it was one of those where it's
like, they help.
So, yeah, I definitely think that proximity routing plays into that as well. But at the same time, you know, Dwarf loses value because you don't need more characters with this. You have an RA1 Black Mage, you have Edge, and you have 2 White Mages. You have 4 people that can win a seed with nothing more than what you already have and some levels. And so Dwarf still takes a back burner. You know, it's a proximity check. It's great in that regard, but it's still kind of like, maybe not.
And here's the thing too, it also routes, you know, we talk about, you know, in other runs, they probably talked about this, but between Zod and Dwarf and how those 2 interact. For me, Dwarf now shuts down Zod. Because Zod's big thing about going up it is that it's quote unquote 3 boss checks. Well, if you're doing Dwarf, it's now 2. And it's a long 2, which means Zod is probably off the table if you're doing Dwarf. So that's also something that goes kind of in the calculus of, you know, if I'm going to do this, this now takes this off the table. Yeah,
and Zod and Dwarf are usually lumped into that kind of basket of one or the other, but not both.
And not both.
It's kind of like if you have RA1, or rather if you don't have RA1, but maybe you have like an Edge who can barely do a little damage, or, you know, you have like a Rydia with Virus, but no Leviathan. You'll do like the Toad Lady chest and Sheila 1, but fade the back of Sylph. And there's some very weird pairings and couplings, you know, that you have to kind of pick and choose. How are you going to be efficient in these seats? And it can be very difficult, you know, to get there. on some of these. Now, also worth noting, Flurry and Bangagong both about to be taking on this Mylon Z at the top of tower. Flurry's got an Earth Hammer and something else, which is going to do decent work to this Mylon Z. But
Bangagong's got decent plus, though.
Bangagong's got a Lightbringer for this Mylon Z.
That's what we call 2 swings, and you're out the door.
But yeah, Flurry does make very quick work with the Earth Hammer, and Mylon Z does go away. While Elven Sorrow, I believe, has gotten underground, Saradin about to be, and there is a Light Sword. I'll take things that would have helped with that Mylon Z for 300, Martin.
Doesn't that always happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, here's a very useful item that would have been great for the exact fight you just did. This game just, it has a way of doing that to you.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
And usually it's Artemis arrows.
Yeah. I've trash canned more than a few in all my qualifiers so far. Stupid Artemis arrows. I mean, what?
Now, that being said, we have some objectives that have appeared on the board. We haven't really talked much about the objectives, so I think now's a pretty good time to do it. Bangagong has objective number 8 out of 7 objectives because
Don't
we
worry
can't
about
count
it.
to
It's
1.
Math. Don't worry about it. We're not
Bangagong also
mathematicians here.
has objective number 3 or 2, defeat the boss of Lower Babel. So part of the concept of the flag set, of course, is memes are fun. So Keyless Tower, that is your Lower Babel boss. The Gauntlet, because the Alt Gauntlet is always fun. Cave Bahamut, because the summon checks do not reward key items. So cave value, in quotations, can never be value from a key item perspective, just a boss perspective.
Yep.
Break the Dark Elf spell with the Twin Harp, because, well, harp, I mean, why not? Open the Treasury, because rate that treasury. Drop the Magma key into the Agate Well, because hey, it's a force hook and we can get underground now. And the Forge with Supersmith, because Supersmith is just fun, especially when it gives you something like a Lightbringer that Flurry just got to go with Bangagons.
I thought the whole meme with the treasury in this flag set was, yeah, you open the door, but then you don't go grab the treasury. I thought that was the whole idea behind it.
But there's this thing on tier
Called
5
a heroine robe?
called a heroine robe.
Yeah.
And that is 18 chances at a heroine robe.
Yeah.
And that is 90%.
I'm looking at 4 runners, 35 minutes on the timer, and no Earth Crystal in your hand.
Yeah.
What's the point that you decide, nah, I don't need this, I'm good. Also, you have a Lightbringer in your hand. Like,
I still want a heroine robe.
You're greedy.
Yeah, but I mean, it also depends, right? Like, when do you get that? Is it when you're going up Zod? Is it before you dive the moon? Like,
yes.
At what point? And how much other power have you found throughout? Do you have power shirts? Do you have just like a single strength ring to split amongst 3 people? There's a lot of calculus that goes into it, because a single uptick in strength gear or agility can be huge and can honestly make up the 30 or 40 seconds that it takes to rate the treasury. So it's something that you have to be constantly permutating while running these, is like, where do my strength values sit? How strong am I actually, etc.
Yeah. Can I steal a line from the last async broadcast that they did?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I love the confidence on Flurry and Bangagong's part, where they're at 1 HP and they go in to fight the warriors and they're just like, I got it. Because they understand exactly how agility works.
Yeah. I mean,
Pretty cool.
They're both very good runners.
Yeah. Last restream, that was a very good line, so I had to use that one.
Hey Martin, we fighting this Feymarch?
We'll wave at it.
Antlion's waving back. That's my favorite part.
Hi. Bye. I still think I've exited faster out of this place than most people.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Feymarch that you're not fighting most of the time.
No.
And I mean, maybe you take on that Karate Man but you are not taking that antlion even
No.
on Omni. Like, that thing punches harder than you can find gear for. So
Yeah.
but we do have some divergence with our runners now. Bangagong, we just saw him flex a little bit on the warrior chest. Time to flex a little more on the rest of Sylph here. Flurry going up the accursed mountain after coming back from the underworld, but has a Lightbringer, so everything's one-shottable.
Yep.
It makes sense. You know, if you're going to do it, this is a very good, efficient time to do it. And then you just reset back if it's got nothing. Now he's going to see that tower key, and then he's going to be sad and have to go chase it.
That's true. Well, let's look at it from this standpoint too. You know, you talked earlier about ordeals and, you know, how early do you make the check? Well, part of it is edge and what edge brings to the table. The other part is what happens when you finally finish the hook route. So the big thing is, like, yeah, you just hold A and you one-shot everything unless it's exactly the gauntlet. Well, the gauntlet has a couple fights that Flame sometimes has minor hiccups with, but Flood sure doesn't. So putting off ordeals for this long, not necessarily a bad thing. Same thing with the Kid-In virus as well. That's also a faster way to get through it. But, you know, if edge is your only viable option, this is actually kind of a big brain play on Flurry's part, is, you know, getting through those gauntlet fights efficiently.
Yeah. And, you know, Flurry at this point has seen the top of tower boss, the hook bosses, the overworld bosses, other than ordeals. He hasn't seen Dwarf, he hasn't seen Luca, but he's seen Fame Arch. Like, a lot of bosses on the table. Ordeals now is 3 of them, 3 more to check. So it certainly makes a lot of sense to route this in now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see other runners do so once they get back above ground. But we see, I like this from Elven Sorrow. We are getting some Silk Web sneaking, which is not something you see very often. So I'm a fan of this.
They can come in handy. I haven't seen Elven as far as, you know, how he's been looting and what he has, but to fix certain fights and agility problems that might arise, yeah, they're fantastic. And like you said earlier, this flag set, like, yeah, you shop for Ether 2s, but how many spots are you actually, like, shopping for? Like, yeah, black belts are fantastic. Ether 2s are fantastic. About how much time are you actually going to spend looking in shops in this flag set?
Yeah, for me,
Much.
I shop the hook route,
Yeah,
occasionally Fame Arch, because I know I'm never going to be back there, generally, when I
yeah,
go down there.
yeah.
I usually don't shop Dwarf, I don't shop Tamra, don't shop the Moon. Maybe shop Troya or Fabul, but
Mhm,
it's not often. Like, you don't spend a lot of time in shops on this. And so
mhm.
you know, if you want things like Silk Webs, you're just going to have to sneak them.
Yeah, exactly. So, or just, you know, luck out in the one item shop you stick your head in, just happens to have it there, but
Yeah.
good luck with that.
And we actually see Bangagong doing the same thing with sneaking Silk Webs. However, this is really smart. Like this even more.
Mhm.
Cast Stop on a Centipede and is sneaking them in the 2 Centipede fight. Gets his Silk Web and then just, you know, kills them off. That is actually really, really well done on Bangagong's part to get a limited resource and a key item check out of the way at the same time.
Yep.
Also, I want to make sure that you know, while we're gathering all these key items and doing these checks, that we give the real MVPs, you know, some love here. Zald doing the tracking, 1 person tracking on a 4-person race is always very impressive. So thank you very much for doing that, and, you know, keeping everything held together. And Ali behind the scenes again, of course. Thank you so much for everything on this race, and just in general for what you do for the FE community. So thank you to both of the folks behind the scenes. You know, our runners, of course, putting on a fantastic show. And that other guy in the booth with me, you should follow him. He's a good Pokemon player.
Thank you, Possum. I appreciate that greatly.
No problem. You're better at Pokemons than I am. I will freely admit that.
I was actually waiting for you to say I was better at that than Free Enterprise, and then we were going to have words after the stream. But
that would have been good, but that would cut too deep.
yeah. Hey, look, it's a Sand Ruby. Fantastic. I'm not going to race to check that.
I don't know. Sand Ruby's interesting.
You look at your party right now. What do you really need? Short of maybe a second Zerker. Somebody a complement edge. Because you've got 2 white mages. You have a figure it out anchor. Honestly, at some point, you probably could just make Palom the anchor.
Kane, Cecil, Sid all interest
exactly.
me.
One of those. Yeah.
Foo a little bit.
Yeah.
More of the
It's an
characters
crystal.
interest me than not, as far as the Sand Ruby is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Bangong pulling an Earth Crystal, though, courtesy of the Toad Lady. So, yeah, we are... This is where the seed starts coming together. So now you have some decisions to make, and that's kind of what I figured Bangagong would do. You're basically shutting down avenues here. I mean, you look at your key item count, you're at 6 right now. And you're staring down Luca with a key in your hand. And a Lightbringer, and fully anchored. You either check it now or you check it never.
Yeah, and this Luca check actually has increased value. You're not only doing this for a key item check, but also you can check for a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, sometimes...
Unless you reset out of the boss.
Well, sometimes you'll be playing a practice seed and a Baron key will show up here, and you haven't found the gauntlet, and you just rage reset because you just don't care. But that's what practice is for. So it's, you know, one of those things where a player playing in a race will do something differently than someone in practice. Rope of Shame.
Wait, hey, whoa. No. That's a DQ right there. You do not go down the Rope of Shame and not open the chest.
I don't know.
Disappointment immeasurable right now.
I approve of it. I like it. We got the Rope of Shame. That too is a meme. So, like...
Wow.
I love it. We haven't seen anyone go into the Job Dwarf hut, though, and not talk to the Job Dwarf. That would be good if someone did that, too.
Yeah.
Saradin, seeing the shop, picking up a Lightbringer. That is all 4 runners having their Lightbringer now. So, good job to everybody. Saradin has fully completed the tower. I believe Flurry has as well now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, our Ordeals folks, well, they did what they did.
Ordeals is fine till it doesn't pay out, and then, well, you know, yeah. Anyways.
Luca, what's it got? That's a Baron key, folks.
I walked that out.
I also walked that out.
This for me, I had a plan in my mind of where that was going to go, and the Baron key solved part of it, and it had exactly to do with the gauntlet and what was going to happen if the gauntlet was my last objective. So I did not have a choice. I had to walk the Baron key out.
Yeah, I walked it out because I wanted 10 key items. And that helped me get there.
Yeah,
because
that helped.
If I remember right, because I had done ordeals and had the tower key and all that, I was putting Sylph off until I had 10 key items for my party, and I wanted to treat that as my grind. I will not say whether or not that worked out, because that would be, you know, a little bit of spoiling. But as far as everyone's logic for it, like the Baron key coming from Luca in particular is such a divisive thing. Thankfully, in this particular seed, it's just a water hag, so it's not a difficult fight. You can go out, you know, get everything completed, but, you know, this Baron key also, you know, that could be your Darkness Crystal. That could be your Twin Harp. That could be, any number of things that provide value. It could be the Magma key because Baron comes from Luca and Magma has to be gated by the underground. So there's a lot of different potential payouts from Baron. And again, confirmation bias. This is the sixth async, and by this point, asyncs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We had seen a number of times where Baron did in fact have some sort of value.
Yeah.
So it was one of those where, you start to get a little confirmation bias and it sits in the back of your brain.
It's a dangerous mentality to get into, but when it keeps happening over and over and over and over, you do it until it burns you. Like you don't want to, give up a good time, or at least a pace of a good time by not doing it. So especially with how it's been trending. So yeah, if you're wrong, you're wrong. But guess what? Everybody else is probably going to be wrong too.
Yeah, and we see here Saradin also taking Baron out of Luca. Elvin Sorrow doing Sylph Trap Chest Flurry. Visiting, I believe, will be Sheila 1 here. And I believe we just got a Sheila 1 turn in for Bangagong, or is at least defending Fabul now, which was put off until we got back above ground. Doing the Fade Fabul play, trying to squeeze out some extra value, and just has a Lightbringer Avenger edge casually running amok on everything.
It's not a bad problem I have. Speaking about divisive, though, Fabul. That's an interesting one. I know people that will fade Fabul and just go down the hook route and just leave it for, the Sheila 1 combo or Sheila 1-2 and just make it a one-trip fiasco. In this seed, obviously, it was a pink tail that turned into a goon spear. But it's a danger, and it's a danger of what it could provide. And I'm curious how people debate whether they're going to do it or not. I have faded Fabul, I want to say once or twice in my async so far, but for the most part, I'm doing it early because I don't want to be burned by an earth crystal or something along those lines, or an early darkness where all of a sudden Magma Key logic now comes in play and I need to plot that accordingly. I feel like there's too many things that hit in Fabul that change your routing, and I don't want to find that out at the 40-minute mark when I come back up.
I'm sure it's been discussed before, but you mentioned Magma Key logic. Whilst our runners are kind of repeating each other's steps here, we see Saradin doing the Warrior Chest, two of our runners in Luca, and Bangagon going up the Accursed Mountain. Would you like to talk about Magma Key logic?
I'll make it very short and sweet. If darkness comes before you are out via the hook route, the Magma Key is via the underground somewhere. So whether it is Tower Key, Luca Key, anything that comes from a check that is underground, your Magma Key is via the underground some way, somehow. So it doesn't matter if you find the Luca Key up on the moon, or the Tower Key via the eyeball of the giant. It is via the underground somehow. So that will definitely, early darkness will change how you possibly spy for that item. It also usually will put dwarf on the table immediately. So because a lot of it's going back to divisive, it's people, dwarf is very hit or miss. Some people love doing it, some people won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You don't blame either way you go. If Magma Key logic is involved, dwarf moves up the list, because you don't want to miss out on that key item. So it also comes into play if, let's say you're down to that check and a gauntlet, and all of a sudden you can't find the gauntlet, but you pull a Luca Key off the moon. And the only things you have left available to you are a Luca Key and a Tower Key. It's like, okay, well, this is a 50-50 that thing is a Magma Key, or leads to the Magma Key. So
Yeah,
what do you
and
do? Do you leave the moon and go check it? Like what do you do? So early darkness makes a lot of thinking happen as
yeah,
far as routes, route changes, and everything like that. So
it makes save scumming an art as opposed to just a tactic.
lot of yep, you will have like 2 and 3 save scums where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go check Sheila 1. Okay, well, we're gonna stop here because Sheila 1 is, oh boy, it's the Baron key. Okay, so we'll save outside Baron, and then that's a bust. So then it's just a whole. I love early darkness for that exact reason, because boy does it throw a wrench into a lot of things.
Yeah, it really turns the seed much more into a thinking battle than just a knowledge and execution battle, which it normally is.
Mm-hmm.
Where typically it's simply a matter of how do I efficiently get through these different bosses and exploit their weaknesses, and how do I make sure that I am not orphaning checks and missing out on potential opportunities. When darkness is thrown in, you have that tertiary layer of wait. There are only X amount of things that this one key item can be behind. If I find those, how do I proceed? Yes, no, put it off, wait till I get 2 of the 3 things maybe. It's very interesting because you may see folks do things like, oh, I hit a magma, I hit a Luca key from a random trap chest on the moon as I was walking down the moon. All of a sudden, bam, exit right away. Wait, what?
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Well, because it was a 50-50 to find your magma key at that point. Like, that's the really cool part about that logic that comes into play, is you are going to see things that look completely off the wall from even a trained free enterprise viewer.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wait, what is happening and why? And it is simply driven by what we're calling magma key logic, and it is fantastic.
Yeah. We'll touch on real quick. Elvin, 53 minutes, did not go in the treasury. So, yeah, obviously Lightbringer is enough. Going up Zod, reverse magma key logic. And you've used this before.
Yeah, you get an earth crystal from the underground, or in this case, you get Baron from the underground, and your thought is, well, if the magma key is available through one of those, you need to chase it. But also, doubly important is that darkness crystal. So, earth crystal, Baron, and dwarf. All 3 of those effectively hold the same value right now. The difference is Earth Crystal gives you 3 bosses to peek at, Baron gives you 2, and Dwarf gives you 2. So if you route Zot to Baron before doing Dwarf, you've seen everything except for 1 boss in Dwarf at that point. So the routing makes a ton of sense if you have both Zot available and the Baron key. Again, that goes to the efficiency plays that folks will make and do. And it makes a ton of sense, again, on the runner's parts here to do that.
Yeah, for exactly. And like I said earlier, for me, I did dwarf, so this was never going to be in play unless I was looking for a gauntlet, because I've already seen dwarf 2. So now this is just 2 bosses and an item. So three is a lot of value. Like just getting that extra check and not having to sit through dwarf is huge.
And characters.
Yeah, but if you've done dwarf, yeah, characters are nice, but hey, there's a character on the moon too, and a character in dwarf, and like you can always find a character to round out your party.
But what you can't find is a gauntlet in the Baron basement. Oh.
Yeah. Or sorry, your gauntlet's in another castle.
Maybe the gauntlet is... no, this is just the Lunars hanging out at the top of Zot. Now this, without like a Lightbringer and an Avenger, could actually be super scary. The viruses here would hit very hard. They would one-shot anyone in that party, and it would not be close. but we don't have to worry about that because bang, bang, bye-bye.
Yep.
Saradin has completed Baron. Elvin is completing Zot. So we know that we didn't get the value we were looking for from Baron. Does Zot have our value? We know Luca is a bust. With Baron not having value, we know Ordeals to the Tower Key didn't have it. We now know Zot has a Rat Tail. So that puts us at 50-50 Rat Tail or Dwarf, I believe, for the Darkness Crystal.
Yep.
So that's going to be very interesting for our runners to see like where they go, what they do. Elvin Sorrow, though, having that Rat Tail says, you know what? I'm going Baron first because I'm here.
Remember what you were talking about earlier about saves coming?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% would save scum that Rat Tail there.
Yeah.
And just make sure that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
The
like why do Baron if you don't have to? Because I mean, if this pulls Darkness, Baron's off the table.
Right.
I understand, but no, you're There's way more bosses on the moon. There's way more checks up there. There's 1-to-1s up there. Like,
But there's also the confirmation bias that has built up through some of these seeds
of Baron being required because
not just that, but also the moon not being required in a fair number of these. And so that double confirmation may be playing a part in what people are doing as well, not just in this seed, but we've seen it in some other ones as well, where folks just don't want to touch the moon. They want to clear everything on Earth. And with how some of these have played out, can't really blame them.
No.
You kind of got to go with what's been working until it doesn't. You made that point earlier, with Baron, that you don't want to lose a good time or an upper middle time just because of that. And for these runners in particular, we're talking about 4 runners that occupying somewhere between the 30th and 35th spots in a tournament that is cutting to a top 32. So for these runners, they are in a bit of a pickle when it comes to these races and these finishes, that they're looking to not route themselves out, but also have to tread that line of trying to execute well enough to keep themselves in. So it's a very, very interesting world in which these 4 runners in particular live in, being so close to that cutoff.
Yep, very much so. Saradin, Darkness Crystal, out of Dwarf.
Yeah, so you had mentioned you did this very early.
I did.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately, it hasn't burned me yet. It probably will. Am firmly in the camp of, you do Earth until it costs you, and then then we'll start thinking about the moon. Early Darkness, because it was the first thing I had. I still had, obviously the Warriors and everything, and RA1 Quack Kids, so doing the March, doing the Tower, doing Backside Sylph was still in play because they're quick. It's like I can shut off these avenues, and like you said, even without 10 key items, Sylph is still good experience.
It is.
So getting those off the table, and at that point, we're still sitting at only, I think, 4 or 5 key items, I believe, at that moment. So there's still a good chance you're going to find a few more on Earth. And but yeah, no, it's going back to the whole, hey, how have these seeds played out so far? Okay, well, I'm gonna lean into that, and if I'm wrong, so be it. I'm still faster than most, so I'll get over it.
Yeah, and in this particular seed, Saradin took an approach pretty similar to mine. The order on Dwarf was a little different. I know that I went and did like Lucan Feymarch Tower, and all of that, walked out Baron Key. but did dwarf because it was underground. It didn't want to leave anything behind, pick up a little extra XP, try to get to 10 key items for Sylph, which is, what Saradin's doing right now. And you see that was 66,000 XP. That is no small amount. And it's going to be, another 200,000 XP coming out of Sylph here for Saradin. That is all the levels you need with a team this powerful. But that being said, to get to those 10 key items, you do end up off of the optimal path for this seed, which is basically, from what we can tell here, you get underground, you forge, you do lower Babel because that's an objective. You open the treasury, and that's from the Toad Lady. So back at Sylph, we've seen everything come out of it so far. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot there. So unless this rat tail, pays off, you're basically stuck with, wow, that means it has to be those small couple of checks, and then the rest is up on the moon. But we see a couple of our runners have the pan, which opens up one more key item check from the rat tail.
Yeah, this is where we were going to that multiple save scum and thing, where it's like, okay, we'll save scum the rat tail. Cool, it's the pan. Crap. Okay, we'll save scum the pan too. Okay, the pan's, I don't know if the pan's a bust. But the pan's a bust. Crap. Okay, let me reset 2 back now and go to Baron. It is like, you have to accommodate for that because you don't know. I mean, we've seen big chains already in these asyncs where, you're going 2-3 items deep to find either a magma key, a darkness, basically an objective.
I'm going to cut you off real quick. Shout outs to Elvin Sorrow for landing on the mountain before coming up to hook route and then saving. He saved after. That is chef's kiss. Thank you, Elvin. 10 out of 10.
Flight school. It's a thing.
Oh, it was 100% intentional to save there. That's the best part of it.
Yeah. I love how we all have dueling pan checks right now. This is great.
It's real pandemonium, isn't it? Got him.
When I refilled out my application to do comms, I actually put in comments that I would not do 99.3% of all the memes out there. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm here for 100% of them.
That's the only reason I'm back here, is why I got approved. So, yeah.
Now, that being said, the pan did turn into a heroine robe, and Sheila one was a Zeus gauntlet. I'm walking those both out personally. That is plus a whole lot. A whole lot of multipliers. That's a whole lot of damage. Well, that's worth the time.
So you're going to save, outside Fabul, right? And check the pan?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's going to cost me 20 seconds to walk out with a heroine robe in my hand. I'm pretty sure I can save 20 seconds with a heroine robe. Pretty easily, I think. So, yeah.
Let's see. Double heroine robe, Zeus gauntlet, Lightbringer, Avenger. Yeah, that's an edge that wins the seed by itself.
Yeah, that's probably over 9k in a Z fight, would be my guess. Very large numbers coming out.
And we have Elvin Sorrow heading up Ordeals. I believe our last runner to do so on Restream. We have Saradin clearing out Sylph, about to get his Earth Crystal. I believe the last of the runners to do that. Bangagong going through Baron. I believe the last of our runners to go through Baron. So everyone kind of retracing steps here. Saradin has the Darkness Crystal, but with only 2 objectives on the board and a couple things still left to do, makes sense to not leave quite yet. And Flurry heading into Dwarf, about to get his Darkness Crystal.
Yep.
But all of these key items.
I like how these are all converging on the Darkness Crystal. Like, we're gonna see probably multiple launches of the whale, like, right about the same time. Also, wow. I did not know. I do not remember that from my run, but that foo spell list. What HP total was that at?
Oh, it was late.
White,
Everything
medium, and
good was
nuke all
late.
at once. Like, wow, neat. That's a spells that exist. Sure. Oh yeah, 1800. Of course it was, because why wouldn't you get nuke at 1800?
Well, I mean, most folks can figure out how to roll seeds, where Fusoya doesn't get like 1800 nuke and 1700 quake. Sadly, I can't.
Well, yeah, that's because you complicate things by resending out of bosses, so you never get that high in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, in a very short amount of time, all of Earth is going to be done. So, hey, we're going to the moon. Yeah, would you like to speak about one-to-ones?
Sure. I'm going to use two words that I love to say together. Fill algorithm.
I was so going a different route with that, but
I know you were.
Yep, and those are words I can't say on Restream. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, but you've been pushing it today. So we have the Darkness Crystal. We have access to some trap chests. And those trap chests, those wonderful offset trap chests where there is but a single one in a dungeon. Things like the Last Arm chest, things like the hair dryers, the warriors, the flame dog, the mad ogres in Upper Babel, the stalemen, in Cave of Blana. All of those where it's one trap chest in an area, they get filled with potential key items in them at nearly the same rate as like a K main check would. So we're talking things like, Fabul Defense, the Pan Turn-In, Mount Ordeals, stuff like that. Those one-to-one trap chests, they have such a high hit rate. It might not be what you're looking for, but it's a very high chance of being something. And a lot of the time, all you need when you're down to like one or two key items, which our runners right now, if you look at needing a needing a Fabul Gauntlet, which likely by this point is via the Darkness Crystal, you're looking for like a Twin Harp. You're looking for a Magma Key. There's a pretty decent chance those one-of-ones are going to hit at some point. Hair dryers and Last Arm have incredible value. I think they're very popular for a reason, and if they miss on having key items, they're still going to give you on T-Pro pretty good chances at high-level rewards, outside of that normal T-Pro range where you'd be like, oh, it's just going to be like a Gaia hat or an Ograx. No, you have a decent chance at getting like Power Shirts and Avengers and Holy Swords. Like those two in particular are very, very good. And as soon as our runners get to the moon, I would expect we'll see some hairdryer and Last Arm action.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Well, and the Last Arm, I honestly, holds a little bit more value, at least currently for these runners. You look at what they're looking for right now, they still haven't seen the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And Giant 1 is always looming.
Yeah, and the interesting part about Giant 1 also is if you go up there and you get a key item from the eyeball, you make the choice. Like, oh, I can set up a save, and I can save scum the elements check, or I can just opt to push through it and get all my XP that way that I need for the seed. So it'll be very interesting to see how our runners route. Do they prefer to go Giant first on their way up to the moon? Do they prefer to go to the moon and, do Cave Bahamut and the hair dryers, check the lunar dais, and then maybe go to the Giant? Do they not go to the Giant at all? There's a lot of different routing choices that our runners can make from this point once they get up onto that moon.
And let's not forget, Giant 1. What if Giant 1 is something, let's face it, you have a Lightbringer and an Avenger. Most things are free coming out of Giant 1. But if it's something fast, where does somebody make the call? Okay, you know what? It's we'll just throw a boss out there. Let's say it's Dark Elf. It's like, I can buzzsaw this boss in 30 seconds.
Well,
Will other
interestingly,
people
Dark
do
Elf,
it?
because
Probably. But
because
it's going to
Dark
give you a look at Giant too.
because Dark Elf has 2 forms, it's actually slow. You want something like Mob Bomb,
Well, you have
where
a
it
light
cuts
bringer.
the HP down. Yeah, I know it's meaningless, but
It's
no,
still
I
dying
100% agree
quickly.
because everyone's on more than 10 key items. That's 200,000 XP.
Yeah.
You clear that out, you get to the second boss. If you don't get an item from
You
the
just
last arm
reset.
chest, you reset
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Figure it out later. You don't need the XP. You have Lightbringer, Avenger, and all the power in the world. But you have you have Flurry here, who's up on the giant. And we have Bangagong, who is finally getting his spoon at the hour 12 mark, cleaning up some of the
Wow.
resets out of it. I love it.
Let's subscribe to the Possum School, fading antlion forever.
That's a PK school.
Oh, well, that and the
Well,
freebie.
and
Yeah.
before PK, it was Couch.
Oh,
so
well, yeah.
We
that
must
too.
remember the legends.
All right, what's the eyeball have? Is it value? That's actually not rhetorical. I actually don't remember. That's right. It was a charm rod. I think I was actually okay with finding that because I didn't have anything great for Fu at that point. It's like, here, you can do still not great damage.
Yeah.
But this giant one fight, though.
What about it?
This fight will equalize anybody. If you don't know what's coming in this gauntlet,
I mean, even if you do,
this will cause resets for people. It's like, oh, it's just a gauntlet. It's fine till you get to fight number 4.
yeah, I've died to fight 4. Even knowing what's happening, because sometimes you just don't have the right party for it, and it's still required. So anyway, Alt Gauntlet, friends, at the element spot. When we reference fight 4, well, that is everyone's favorite friend, the D Machine. And, we're not going to get DJD money because it's only a single D Machine. We're not going to be fighting multiples of them. That would be the gauntlet at the second spot where you can fight multiples. But the problem is, if we look at this team, slot 1, we have a Berserker. Slot 2, we have a White Mage. Slot 2, 3, and 4. Slot 4, we have Fusoya. Our Black Mage to weak or stop is quite a few rows down from getting an initial action off, which means that D Machine is going to start firing away very rapidly at our party, pun fully intended.
And it's not just the fire, it's also any physical attack coming out via the Zerker is getting countered. So you may end up with some dead party members in that fight, and now things get a little more interesting. So, eek.
And by the way, those punches, they're no joke. D Machines hit hard. They hit even harder when you berserk them, but that's something we're not going to see here.
No, it's been months since you did that.
It's actually been years.
Years? It's been that long? Wow.
It has been over 2 years. Anyway, we have all of our runners in possession of the Darkness Crystal. Bangagong has cleaned up Antlion and Baron Inn, which he faded, which is fantastic. I love to see those get put off that long. Elven Sorrow making his way to the moon second. Here is that lovely D Machine we talked about.
Yep.
Flurry has a Cure 4 channeled, but he also has a dead mop. But the Cure 4 comes out, so Flurry is going to get through this. He'll be fine. That was honestly the best character he could have gotten hit there.
Yep.
So he's all good. But yeah, everybody, simultaneous lunar whales and giant fights and, lots of fun things happening all of a sudden in the seed. But this does beg the question now that we've found the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Where do you go for your key items from here? What's your next stop?
Hair dryers.
For me, it would be the hair dryers. But I would also want to look at Cave Bahamut pretty quickly too. Granted, that can't be your go mode because there's no key item from it. But you want to get it out of the way soon anyway.
That's true. That's true. I want to say when I did this, I believe I did the hair dryers and Bahamut first, and then went to the giant, trying to find the last thing I needed. just because if it was there, you just walk out and the whale dumps you back on Earth. So from a routing standpoint, it actually was just a hair faster.
Ooh, Elven Sorrow.
Behemoths.
Showing us behemoths. We got a
Neat.
siren, a centipede, and behemoth from Elven Sorrow. I love it.
I like it. That behemoth is, to take a phrase from Pancrez, is kind of vibing right now. Something about running anchored versus a behemoth.
Yeah.
Usually is not good for your health.
So Martin, behemoths.
Yeah.
They are
Slower than dirt.
not fast. They have what, 1 to 3?
1 to 3 agility.
Yeah. So you want your fast people in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You want your slow people not in the middle, because that way you can basically make the behemoths really, really slow compared to
The
you.
only turn they get will be a counter. And
Right.
that's it.
And that's a good thing because they punch really hard.
Yes, they do.
Other things that punch really hard, Asura.
Yeah, that's a lot of Asura on the screen right now.
Yeah, that is roughly, what, 111,000 HP of Asura on the screen right now?
My God, you did math and it's actually correct. Who are you?
Hey. That was kind of rude, bro.
You're a possum.
I've almost got as many toes and stuff to count that high.
You can, if you have 37 toes, we need to have a chat.
Okay, I'm a possum that got lost in a nuclear waste facility.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me at all.
My best friend is Blinky, the three-eyed fish.
Hey, by the way, look, there's a twin harp.
Yeah, twin harp from hair dryers.
Yeah.
Hair dryers
who'd have thought?
confirmed.
Wow,
A good,
look, we didn't
a
have to
good
go
check.
down the LST at all. Again.
Are you sure?
I mean, yeah. Am I not counting correctly?
I don't know. You could if you want.
Bahamut would be 5, and which Flurry unfortunately just realized. That's okay.
Yeah. So Flurry wanted to do Cave Bahamut and then go down to finish with the twin harp.
We've all been there. It happens to all of us.
But speaking of Cave Bahamut, that is objective number 4 completed for 1, 2, 3 of our runners. See, I did more math. Elvinsar, Bangagong, and Saradin all have 4 objectives on the board. Flurry also has 4 on the board, but he's got the spicier objective, and that is the gauntlet out of the way. So here go our runners. Elvin Sorrow making his way to the hair dryers. Bangagong already quaking the hair dryers. Saradin taking a moment to rest up in the whale before likely going after the hair dryers as well. So all of our runners going to be in possession of a twin harp and very close to completing the seed if they go after that gauntlet next.
So here's a question. Obviously, you're gonna. I feel like you have to look at the giant. There are people that aren't going to.
I was one of them when I ran this.
It's perfectly fine. How much do you gamble on the twin harp?
So
I mean,
when I ran this,
we've seen the twin harp be a dirty double. We've seen it quite a few times, actually.
I specifically said when I picked that up, because I did Cave Bahamut and hair dryers before going to the giant. I said to myself, I have to chase this twin harp because it's an objective.
And it's Gauntlet or Magma.
It's either Gauntlet or Magma. One of those two.
Yeah.
I'm already there at Troya. And it's just go mode at that point. So my logic was I can potentially cut out the giant altogether. And, you know, my next check, if the twin harp doesn't pay out, is I'm going to the giant anyway after that. So it wasn't much of a loss is how I was looking at it. Plus, I had already done the oopsie of, doing Zot and Baron and every other check on the blue planet. So it was like, well, we ain't winning this one. Let's just do something that I think probably a lot of folks wouldn't do, which is just straight up leave and go harp. But it looks like all of our runners, other than Flurry, did decide that they were not going to go after the giant. They're all just going harp.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that may be all their mindsets is, you know what, I can end the game. And it's not just, hey, it's an item and a boss. So, at this point, with them full completing most of Earth, you're at what? Maybe a 1 in 8, 1 in 9 of the boss hitting here? And your item pool is getting very small. Yeah, there's a lot of locations on the moon.
Yeah, but again,
I personally, if it was me running the numbers, I would more gamble that the gauntlet would be here than a key item.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at key item checks, you have quite a few of them.
9 traps and 6 moon boxes.
So anyway.
Yeah, it's numbers.
Music. I think this is the part where we let it do its thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Have fun, y'all. Enjoy the tunes. It's probably Tetris. All right, breaking news and stuff and things. There might be music, but whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, you know what I never saw in my run?
The Magma key.
Sure didn't.
Yep.
A little sad.
Yep.
One of these is way faster than the gauntlet.
Is it the Magma key?
Yep, might be.
Hey, but you had lots of levels.
I did.
So the one benefit for Flurry here, while all of our runners are just completing this, is Flurry did do the gauntlet already. So he doesn't have to go to Agar, turn the Magma key in, and do all that. He can just save up and then go right into the Zeromus fight.
Yep.
So, like, as far as that all's concerned, he's in a good place.
Yeah.
Our other runners do still have to do the Magma objective and, the whole crystal animation and that whole jazz. Bangagong getting the crystal second, Flurry got the crystal first, Elven Sorrow going to get the crystal third, and then Saradin going to be our fourth runner to get the crystal. But let's see who can execute the best whilst fighting Big Bad Zeromus. Flurry, our only runner who found that gauntlet. But Martin, we do a whole lot of things, and there's a whole lot of memes, and we've seen a lot of them. And oh, by the way, we even got that Magma key, which means we can get underground now. Yay. So before we fight the big bad final boss, we have some questions we have to ask.
Yeah, where is Solaris? And thank you. I'd just like to point out really quick that Possum is no longer in this restream. So hi, I will be carrying this for the rest of the evening. I miss Solaris, where Solaris could, say that devoid of all emotion whatsoever. But yeah, something Z spread. There's a lot of Z spreads. We're gonna kick somebody's butt. Question is who, and why does it have to be a butt?
I hope it's the volcano with the butt.
Why can't we kick him in the ankle?
I thought you were going to say a different A word than ankle, and I am so glad you didn't.
And also, does the butt have a hat? Because, hats are... Shout out to Gaia Hat, from... Yeah, those were good times. Yeah.
All right, so I have a question.
Hey,
if you're Flurry, do you nerf here?
No.
That's the same. I'm curious. I want to see.
Those HP totals? No.
Ooh, we're going to get not 1, not 2, not 3. Wait, I did this once already, but I get to add 4 to this now. 4 simultaneous Z fights. Love it.
Yep. Now, to Possum's point, obviously he talks about, nerfing, et cetera, so forth. This is, honestly, Z fights in this flag set, this is a DPS measuring tool. What you are looking for is pushing north of 10,000 damage around. Anything beyond that, you're usually safe. Right now, Flurry, just range right now, I'm seeing 11 to almost 13,000. There's a world. You could go a 0 Big Bang and just flat out nuke Z right in the face and just try to cut this entire thing short.
I would go for a second nuke on Fu here to try to make that happen.
Yeah, just throw the kitchen sink and see if you can just, make a 1-minute Z fight.
But not to be for Flurry. I know that the tip happened there off Rose's hit. We got one more from Sid for 4,600, which means we were somewhere between about 50 and 55k. Which means Fu was borderline on getting a kill shot there. So it might, who knows? And we'd have had to count the damage, and I sure wasn't.
Yeah, and but it's one of those things it saves time. The risk is if you're wrong, you're going through the entire Z fight, and now all those extra animations you threw in are actually costing you time versus, well, I'm doing 11,000 damage around. I'm just going to put down my controller.
Right.
So that's the risk. That's why I said it's a DPS measuring tool. It's like if you have the capability, sure, take a run at it.
Right.
But being wrong kind of sucks.
But speaking of not being wrong,
well,
all of our runners, I was gonna say all of our runners are doing well in this Z fight. Flurry doing the best of them. GG's to Flurry, who finished first of these 4 runners in that battle for the top 32. So doing a little bit better to improve his placing. Overall in the async, these runners all came in somewhere between 18th and 24th. So they were all, middle of the pack, if you will. But middle of the pack is good enough to increase the standings, increase their point totals, and keep them in that conversation for top 32. So still work to be done, for Flurry and the rest of the runners here. but Flurry coming in that 18th place, and doing a great job of showing off some skill, showing off a lot of technique, also showing off that you can do an extra gauntlet versus some other runners and still be able to come away ahead. Those
Yep.
levels didn't hurt, but it sure
Nope.
would have been faster to not have to do it.
Yeah.
So GG's again to Flurry, very well run, as our other runners are, just zerking away with varying amounts of damage on this Zeromus.
Yep. It's funny looking at, like, at least the runners that are currently on the screen. Like, there's one that sticks out. You look at Bang Gong right now with the HP totals on the party. Like,
Hmm.
these are wildly variant fights we're seeing here. Flurry with the gauntlets, Saradin and Elvin kind of middle of the road, and then, hey, here's 12 to 1900 HP characters where,
Yeah,
you're
and
worried. It's like, am I going to see a Meteo? Am I going to get womboed? Like, ew. It's
and
it's sketchy.
if
It
you
makes
look
you
at
worried.
Bangagong's fight right now, also, like, you're seeing reflected nukes, you're
Hmm.
seeing cure threes from Porum. Like, he's trying to push
Yeah,
as
a little
much as he can to get to
supplemental.
the end.
Yep. Yeah.
While our other runners, Saradin and Elvin,
Nice.
finishing extremely closely together. They were able to just zerk because they had those middling levels. Officially, Saradin did beat Elvin by 4 seconds on this one. So while you may see, Elvin's crumbling a little quicker, Saradin did finish ahead, and then Bangagong at 132.26. So only 11 seconds separated those three runners. Flurry a little bit ahead of the pace. Flurry also by far the most veteran of these four runners, so that would also be expected. But all of them put on one heck of a show. Great performances. Every
Mhm.
single runner on screen had wonderful bits of knowledge and technique and execution come out.
Yep.
Just real clean overall, and just amazing how good everyone has gotten at this.
Yeah, very much so. And this is, I mean, this is not, we both heard people talk about where this flag set's kind of, hey, just hold A. It's like there is nuance to this flag set. There are little quirks and caveats to saving a few seconds here and there, and you saw a lot of those between these four runners. This isn't just go burr. It's, when do I do something? What's the most efficient way to do it? What characters do I need to do X, Y, Z? How do I route these checks and just all these things? Yeah, power's nice and all, but just seeing, I mean, we saw it with just starting the beginning of this, this race. 3 different, ways of starting the seed, 3 different ways of going underground, and yet they're this close at the end. Says a lot about these runners and about the, this style of flag set in general. So it's always a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, it's very, very different from anything that's ever been put into a tournament before. Omnidextrous completely warps things.
Mhm.
Some folks it's for the better, some folks it's for the worse. But it's certainly gotten us acclimated
Mhm.
to fights that we wouldn't be used to. I think you see more aggressive Z fights than you've ever seen before. Bangagong just showed us that. Those are levels that you really don't mess around with in a lot of other flag sets. You get real scared real fast.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where folks are pushing the limits, even in live races. And it's really wonderful to see how much of that can they take outside of this and really push that, in other flag sets. So
Mhm.
always cool to see.
Mhm.
Of course, thank you, Flurry, Elvin, Saradin, Bangagong, for not only participating in the tournament, but also opting in to be restreamed if selected. You know, we love putting on a good show and featuring folks. So huge thank yous to those four runners for putting on that heck of a show. Huge thank you again to Zald for doing the tracking. A one person, four runners tracking, always a challenge. So thank you, thank you. Ali, of course, thank you again for all the work on this restream and so many others. Martin, it's
Hi.
always a blast. I'm so glad you're back. And
It's
it's
always
been
fun
a
being
while.
in the booth. Yeah. Um But, obviously we're not done. We have somewhere we're going to send everyone. But Async 7 and 8 are open. I haven't run them. You all should. And considering Possum World at Sea, just stay on Earth forehead. Seems to be the
Hey.
solution to everything.
Hey, that's...
What?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. I believe the cutoff for that is Saturday. Is it morning or night?
9 a.m. Pacific, noon
9 a.m.
Eastern.
So yeah, you still have a day and change left. So, and
then
I mean, I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now, or the little stat sheet. Wow,
Yep.
this is gonna get interesting. This is gonna come down to like the final seconds.
Remember Sunday as well. We're gonna have the 4th version of this, and as someone who is on the event team, I am going to be as biased as possible, trying to focus the next one on folks who are again right on that cusp of the top 32 to see like who gets in, who doesn't make it, etc. So high drama all around, but we'll see if we can bring y'all something else incredible like all of these have been so far. But like Martin said, we are not done quite yet. We are going to go say hi to some of our best friends. Nope, just kidding. We're not going to say hi to our best friends because our best friends just went away. So yeah, they went away. We're going to go away. We'll let y'all go your own way.
Ooh, go get food.
Yeah, food is good.
Yeah,
it's 10 o'clock for a lot of our viewers, but it's only 7 for us.
Or take the amazing advice we all gave you, and use that and go run the asyncs for yourself, and put up amazing times, and stay on Earth forehead.
And go get ice cream.
And ice cream.
Yeah.
And pizza.
All right. With that, friends, thank you, viewers, restreamers, commentators, runners, the community at large. Y'all are amazing. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.